Hey everybody, it's Garth here again for another amazing episode of Stories of Gratitude, and I'm really excited for this particular guest. This guest, his name is Artis Webb. He's also known as the Head Rhino, and I had a chance to meet him last year in Georgia. And he's an amazing man, and he's also a member of the Daily Gratitude Movement and one of our famous moderators. And so I'm excited to hear his gratitude story, his journey of gratitude. And with that, welcome, artists, to the Stories of Gratitude show. How are you doing today?
Super, super, super. And golf, the reason I always say super is affirming in advance. It's always going to be stimulating, always going to be uplifting, always going to be positive, encouraging, and it's going to be reinforcing. So, super.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for agreeing to be with me today. And so tell our viewers a little bit about yourself. Well, I just kind of told them that you're from Georgia, but tell us a little bit more about yourself.
I was born in North Carolina and single parent mother of 10. And my mother really, sincerely, is tremendous, tremendous lady. And in the process, I had 9, 10 brothers, siblings, and we lived with my grandmother. And my grandmother had 25 kids, 12 boys and 13 girls. Came from a very large family.
Hmm.
My mother raised all of us in my grandmother's house in one room with no electricity and no electrolytes until I finished high school. But my mother was my first trainer, you might say,
Hmm.
or my first supervisor, because she taught me the attitude that I must have to endure. Even though she only has an 8th grade education, she reinforced within us to go to school, always be true to your word, be honest with integrity. And she's still living today. My mother's going on 96 years old.
Wow.
Super, super, super lady. And one of the goals I've always had, Garth, is to buy my mother the home she used to clean. And I got married at 19 years old. And that was a goal my wife and I set together. And about 40 years ago, we bought that, moved her from where she was living to a 3,300 square feet home, 11 and a half rooms, 3.5 bathrooms. And it's all hers on about a 2 acre lot. And just her and my brother lives there. And I think that the dignity, the self respect, the pride, she has to be the most dignified, prideful woman in the area.
I
And I
like
think
that.
that's what really endured her life to sustain it to this degree today.
I like
She
that. That
still
is
get up early
amazing.
in the morning. She can still walk around. She still does things. And I said, Mama, you're doing too much. She said, the doctor said, stay busy. I said, well, stay busy because keep you living. And I have those same attributes myself.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, I think that your mother raised you well, and I think it's a wonderful thing that you were able to fulfill on that dream and to get her that home. I know that must have felt like really amazing at the moment when you did it. You want to tell me a little bit at that moment when you said, "Here, mom, here's the keys," or how did you tell her that this home was going to be hers?
Well, my mother was so super late, a hard worker, always instilled with us. We did field work, and she taught me how to get up early in the morning. And really, we picked cotton, picked tomatoes, and as a young kid, I was the number one basket tomato picker,
Mm.
100 basket of tomatoes in one day. And during the process, I knew my mother been such a hard worker. I said I wanted to do something that's going to give her a life, in her opinion, that would be a life that I desire for her to have. And the house she was living in got burned down.
Oh wow.
And she called me and she called me by my middle name. She said, Lee, she said, my house got burned down. And she said, if you want to come down and whatever you can do to help me out, would appreciate it. So I went down and assessed the situation and talked to the people that the place you used to clean. And really, we purchased that house for pretty much what they paid for it 30 some years ago,
Hmm.
35 years ago, really. And I remember talking to Mama and said, Mama, this is your house. And she didn't believe it. But my wife in there told her this is hers. We want her to have it. I know she would take good care of it because she's that type of person. And now she's probably one of the nicest homes in the communities because she takes good care of it. She's a super, super, super lady. I love her so dearly. In fact, my mother have the same name my wife have. Her name is Christine, and my mother's name is Christine.
Really? I
Yes.
did not know that. That's incredible.
So when I first met my wife, Christine, I told her my mother's name was Christine. So she thought that was just a line. But um, but I think that my wife came from a very structured family, husband and wife together, and more educational form of, she had a sister that's a lawyer, professionals. And her intent, whatever she wanted to help me do whatever I could to like solidify my mother. And that's why I think at May 14th, we married 56 years, four
56
beautiful
years.
kids, six grandkids, and all my kids are entrepreneurs. And I tell you something, I feel so proud of my family.
Awesome. That is fantastic. Congratulations. Congratulations all the way around. And wow. Well, this is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting because you are an interesting guy. And how I first got introduced to you was through Angel Ruiz, who said you've got to meet this guy Artis, and I'm going to invite him to the gratitude movement. And she sent you an invitation, and you came and you were a guest. So so tell me, what was that like for you when you first got to the gratitude movement? What was that like for you?
Well, Angel, I've been known for quite some time because we were in the same business. We were in the cricket business. And I knew her for 18 years or so. So I was a consultant at her office. And when I went there, I've always respect for the job that she has done. And she was a very successful distributor. Her whole family in the business. And when I met her, she was telling me a little bit about that. And I had my little apprehensions about it. But when she introduced me, I know whatever she was part of had to be good. She's that type of person. She's a high caliber, high quality person with a lot of integrity. And I said, well, I check it out. And believe it or not, I listened for I guess, a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But as I listened, I was always, instead of giving my gratitude, always attempting to motivate. She said, Artist, this is for gratitude, expressing what you appreciate, what you are thankful for. And I was always looked at myself accomplishing this goal and going after another, accomplishing this goal, going after another. I was never really thankful for anything. I was pursuing everything because I felt I never had enough. What gratitude did for me, it helped me to really appreciate what it's like to be in the moment, what it's like to be appreciated, to be validated, to have something, to care, to show gratitude for others, to be in the moment and to accept the responsibilities you have right there at hand. So gratitude kind of slowed me down and put me in the moment. And that's why when I thought of gratitude, Garth, and been knowing you for quite some time, I said, gratitude, Gratitude. I said, now, Garth is the one started this gratitude movement several years ago. And I said, I had to use your name. Garth recognizes aspiring, taking individuals through unbelievable difficulties every day. And that's what gratitude does. See, start recognize you and inspire you to individually give an introspective look at yourself. Think about what you have and what you're thankful for. Instead of looking at the difficulties, look at the things you're thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciate those things, honor those things. And then you realize that life is more abundant. And I've always, in my own way, was successful, but I'm more successful now than I ever been simply because I appreciate everything around me. I appreciate small things. I appreciate my time. I appreciate my health. I appreciate my faith. I appreciate my family. I appreciate relationships. And before, I think I was just part of that, but it was more facade, but it wasn't really something that I took the time to let me really hone into the person that I'm with. There's a saying that says, a person don't care how much you know until you show or know how much you care. And
Mm-hmm.
gratitude taught me how to show and know how much I really care. And because, in sales, you learn you got to care for customers. And even there, I got to gratitude. Customers are really everything. So collaborating are really everything. So I come to appreciate the true value of what life is all about. And I'd be thankful for it and how to appreciate it and to have to honor it and honor people. Because that's the greatest gift we have is
Yes, it
life.
is.
And the second greatest gift is gratitude, showing appreciation for life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for that. That was very insightful, and and if there's one thing that I know you for, and is coming up with these acronyms for taking the letters and giving them meaning. But I am curious, at your, and if you want to tell your share your age, that's great. But at your age, I want to know, at what point in your life did you actually start practicing gratitude? Like when, were you one of those people that knew about the word gratitude and you just said it from time to time, or was there a point where you intentionally decided, I'm going to start practicing gratitude? Can you tell me when that was for you?
To be completely honest with you, I didn't start practicing gratitude until I came to this movement. I
Okay.
took it for granted. Like I said, I was pursuing things. Always had a goal. GOALS. Go out and lead successfully. And when I would complete this goal, I get another goal. Complete that goal, get another goal.
Mm-hmm.
However, I never took the time to be thankful and appreciative for what I had because I always felt like I needed more. Success is a journey, and I was on that journey of success. And when I came into the gratitude movement, then I realized there are people that maybe I had more materially, but it was more successful than I was as a person because they appreciated themselves, their life, things around them, the things that we all work for. Because if you think about it, we come in the world with absolutely nothing. We leave with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling someone the other day, if I gave you $1 billion and told you you had to die tomorrow, would you want the $1 billion or would you love more time? Or time. See, gratitude helps you appreciate that time. I said, if I gave you $1 billion, would you have to be sick for the rest of your life, intensive care, and someone had to take care of you and feed you intravenous? Would you want that billion or would you want your health? Health. Gratitude helps you appreciate your health.
All right.
I
All right.
said,
All
if
right.
I gave you $1 billion, but you have to, uh, your loved ones, your family, and all your loved ones had to die, but you get $1 billion, then the relationship, gratitude helps you appreciate your relationship. Relationship is far more than that. Then I said, if I gave you $1 billion, faith, everything you moral compass, everything you stand for, had to eradicate that, but you got it. No, you have faith. So gratitude helped me appreciate my time, my health, my family, my faith. Just give me more purpose. Even though I took it for granted, now I do it more on purpose. Maybe I was doing it indirectly. However, now I do it more directly,
More intentionally.
intentionally. That's a good
Yeah.
word for it.
So I so you started practicing gratitude when you came to the gratitude movement. I started practicing gratitude in my mid 50s, and tell me, what was the one thing that you noticed after you started practicing gratitude for, let's say, a few weeks or a few months? What was the one thing that really stood out to you? You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't see this before. Did you have that moment?
See, as I traveled and always spoke. And believe it or not, and I've traveled to 80 different countries in every state within the United States. And I would go to places and meet people. And I noticed people, my job was to inspire and motivate people. But most of the people I had difficulty sometimes. The challenge was, how could I reach them?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I realized that I was being reached through the gratitude movement, then I started traveling. Then I started sharing gratitude. I said, before we get started today, just tell me something you're grateful for. And they had difficulty, your family, your life, anything, thing for the moment, anything that you have at the moment, because they was always in the past or in the future. Think about things they didn't have, things
Mm-hmm.
that they wanted, but never validating the things they had. And when I started realizing that they started focusing on what they had, I became more successful in my way of inspiring and reaching people. And as I travel, one of the things I do when I talk to people today, and I travel, if I got 200, 300, however many people I'm talking with, I said, the first thing we're going to do before we get started, I want you to write down, and I got this from you. I learned this in the process when you first started, when Tony told you, I want you to write down three things that you're grateful for. Just write them on a piece of paper before we get started. And I'm going to, through the process of this meeting, as we talk, and I'm going to ask some of you to share those things with the audience. And I said three things. And I gave them an example of things to be grateful for: your family, your life, your health, things that is important to you that helps you become the person you are today. And it just became like an eye opener. And I remember one occasion I was in Texas, had about 30 people there. I said, I'm wondering if the moderator will allow these people to express their gratitude because they're already there. And when I called and told the moderator what was happening and where I was at, and I got some people that want to share their gratitude, and absolutely, it was phenomenal. I went there, the distributor, the owner, the president of the company had left for 30 days and entrusted the entire organization in my hands, the keys to his home, his inventory, everything he had. He said, you could drive my car, got a Lamborghini, you can do this, you could. And I think through the exercise of gratitude, I think what happened when you start expressing how you really feel, who the real people see the true essence of you as a person. It's
Mm-hmm. Okay.
difficult to express gratitude without integrity. It's difficult to express gratitude without being vulnerable and sharing things maybe perhaps you never shared with anyone else.
Right.
And when you do that, you start realizing the moderators always reciprocate and find something good in what you had to say. And I think what stimulated me more, whenever I go somewhere, I said, let me get involved with Clubhouse. Let me call the gratitude movement. Let me get involved with the gratitude movement. Let me call and let me say, get in and share my gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And when I share my gratitude, and they see things in me, Garth, that I don't see in myself. A lot of people say, Artist, you're fantastic, you're a family, all of this. Honestly and truthfully, I see myself as a hardworking person, striving to take care of my family, to leave a legacy for my family, my siblings, my mother, and to help other people. Now, that's probably my natural gift.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as something special, but gratitude helped me to see the humility of it is just who I am. Gratitude helped me to appreciate this is who you really are.
Okay.
And I've learned to understand, okay, that's the person I am. Now I'm not ashamed or to share things that people would say is vulnerable. I can talk about anything. Because
Yeah.
when your output of information supersedes your intake, you're down for a lack of intake. So I go to the gratitude room, I listen and listen. I get so much from these people that fortifies me.
Well, you had a moment just now, or at least I noticed it, when you talked about your family and gratitude. You felt it seemed like you got a little emotional there. What came up for you in that moment? What was that feeling that you had?
I've always been the type of person that I felt that certain parts of my life, it was like my own load. And see, we carry our own load, and people help you with your burdens.
Hmm.
And when you start sharing your load, the things that you have grown to appreciate that you can share with others, and people can encourage you into that. And when you start talking about the personal things that you have accomplished, I personally should not, based on the background of an individual, be the person that I am today. And when I start thinking about that and what gratitude has enabled me to do, to be able to talk about it. But I get emotional when I do because of the fact that I remember the fears, uncertainties, doubts, and the skepticism. And I didn't think I was entitled. I didn't think I was deserving of it. When I think of things that I've accomplished that other people see, that they say, man, this guy is great at this, I become more emotionally eh, within with myself because I was thinking, I worked so hard at it. And now it appears to be natural to other people, but they never realize what I had to do to overcome those things to the point that I
Hmm.
can talk about it.
Okay. Well, so you talk about overcoming. What were some things, or at least one thing or two things that you had to overcome to be who you are now?
Believe it or not, I had a low self image, low self esteem, low self worth. And I had fears, uncertainties, doubts, and skepticism when it come to really sharing things with people. I've done this all my life, you might say my life, work. However, in gratitude, what it has done, it made me look back at my life and start thinking, this was a gratitude movement. This was a gratitude movement. I tell you when I started practicing gratitude, but when I look back at my life and see things that I accomplished and things that I did appreciate at the moment, but that stopped to exhale, I reflect on some of those things and say, man, now I can communicate to people. Now I can really inspire people. Now I really care about people. See, one of the biggest fears I always had, see, born in the South and being black and living in the environment that I lived in, street called Blood Street, and my mother working in the fields, I never thought I was the type of person that could speak and communicate to the audiences that I've done. I did it even though before I got involved in gratitude, but I did it on the basis of a lot of intense pressure there.
Hmm.
And I memorized a lot of things. But now, speaking from the heart and having lived those experiences, what gratitude has done is, man, hey, it's okay. It's okay to be Artis Webb. It's okay to talk about what you earned the right to talk about. It's okay. And now those things that I didn't think was okay, I come to fully accept those things and accept myself more completely than I've ever done.
Okay. I like that, and thank you for that. I really thank you for that level of sharing and a deep connection with yourself. I could feel it all the way over here. um, the emotion that you were talking about. So you came into the gratitude movement, the gratitude room, and you were sharing gratitude and listening to people share their gratitude. And then there was a moment. There was a moment that you said to yourself, I want to do more for this cause. I want to do more for this gratitude movement. What was that moment for you when because I see it a lot where people come in and we call it PTR photo, and their photo changes, and it's almost the moment like popcorn, they pop, or they cross over, and they're like, you know what, my life is really really great, and I'm really super grateful. But there was a moment for you where you said, you know what, I want to do more for this gratitude movement. What was that moment like for you, and when was it?
I really believe there's five basic principles or attributes. The first prerequisite or the first dress code when a person first meets you is attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And what the gratitude movement helped me to be able to see and listen to the different people from the different backgrounds. They didn't have the self-assurance within themselves that they were good enough or felt complete enough to be able to share their gratitude. So some would listen, some would be nervous, some would speak. And I had overcome a lot of those hurdles. However, I overcame those through the fact that now I can do it on purpose. Started saying I can assist these people by helping them to work within themselves and
Mm-hmm.
work on themselves. And the attitude first, appreciate that your attitude is which is nothing but an emotions and how you feel, but feel good about who you are and what you are to express yourself in the way that you deserve the right to talk about it.
Okay.
And and through gratitude, I saw how that would be a connection that I can assist and help people. However, in the process, I'm assisting and helping myself because the more you do for other people, the more you do for yourself. So you're going to do more for yourself than you can do for other people. And what I mean by that, there's a saying that I said, if you help enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to help people to get what they want, life can only get better with you when you get better with yourself.
Right. Right.
And I knew that the way I have grown and developed myself personally, if they were to take an introspective look at themselves and their own personal attitude, like attitude triumphantly take individual through unbelievable difficulties. And I would say if they give themselves 100%, give themselves 100% effort and 100% of their attitude when they come to the gratitude movement, they're going to walk away feeling more complete and it's going to help them deal with other aspects of their life. And the reason I said 100%, if you give something a half, one half effort of gratitude time one half attitude, it's going to give you a quarter. One half time one half is just one fourth. So the law of reciprocity, the law of attraction, the law of sow and reap, you cannot possibly get a full recompense back if you're only given a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, one time one is one. That means if you give one full attitude and one full effort of gratitude in it, you can get one full attitude and gratitude back. And I did the numbers on that. To be real briefly, attitude has 8 letters in it. And so with those 8 letters in it, you can take and add numbers to those 8 letters. A would be one, T
Mm-hmm.
would be 20. They would end up to 100%. So when you put 100% attitude in it, and gratitude be the same thing, 100% gratitude, you're going to get 100% back. And you're going to grow through the process. And now that attitude is working on yourself.
Okay.
Yourself is 8 letters. You put yourself 100%, well, you can get 100% back. Now, it takes discipline to do that. Discipline, 100%. You take the numbers to letters to discipline, that's 100%. And you take it personally, look at it from a personal point of view. I'm involving myself personally, that's 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're consistently doing it every day, that's 142%. So really, you got 542% that you can practice on yourself every day through the gratitude movement, but working on your attitude, working on yourself, working on personal discipline and consistency through gratitude, which is another 100%.
Okay.
So really, it comes full circle.
So, I one of the things I said before. One of the things I really love about you is how you take these words and you take the letters and you make them mean something. So what I got from what you just said is attitude is 100%, and I want to. I want to highlight something about you because I know it about you, and and I would love for our viewers to know a little bit about your daily routine. You have a daily routine, a regiment, and there's times I've gotten videos from you early in the morning, and you're outside and you're sweating, and I also want to highlight that you've been around for a while, and even at your level, I'm going to use the word level, all right.
I'm proud of it.
Yeah, at your level, there's a belief system that you have, right, which is growing and learning and evolving. And so tell me a little bit, tell our viewers a little bit about this belief system that you have, this regiment, this routine. Just tell us a little bit about that. Give us some inspiration.
I'm always use acronyms. The reason I use acronyms, what it does, your mind see things in pictures. And when you can picture yourself doing something, it becomes a greater inspiration for you. If you want to accomplish a goal, you say, I want to make a lot of money. Your mind can't see money.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I want a beautiful home, if you can see a picture of what you want, it becomes more real to your mind. Your mind responds that way because your emotion is nothing but how you feel about something. So I knew that when I was in the military, I was during the Vietnam crisis, and I was told that if you really want to survive the military, and you're going to probably, some of you might not come back alive, and some of you may get hurt, get wounded, but you got a greater chance by following the basic techniques, the things we teach you of survivor and coming out fully appreciating what you've done and appreciating yourself as a person.
Mm-hmm.
I took it to heart. And I started a regimentation and I started working out on a regular basis. And I took it right from the military. And when I got out of the military in 1971, and then I started in this business called Kirby. And really, this is very important because I got married at 19. Think about it, Garth. I was making $2.69 an hour, taking home $69 a week, living in a $40 a month apartment, and had rats and roaches all over the place and couldn't afford it. And my wife and I was just gave birth to my oldest daughter after being married 4.5 years, and I had to take care of my little baby girl. And I was in a situation we couldn't even afford a crib. We had to put the baby in a drawer because we didn't want the rats and roaches to get around her.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like a trying moment for me. The only thing we had going for ourselves was that we loved each other, we appreciated each other. And I said, I got to keep myself mentally, spiritually, physically, and emotionally at the optimal level, things I have in my control. I didn't have anything else in my control except those things we talked about earlier. My attitude was in my control. My physicality was in my control. My thoughts was in my control. The love I had my family was in my control. Those are things that I wanted to make sure that I didn't neglect. And so therefore the regimentation started. And I started running 3 to 5 miles every day. Believe it or not, I've done that for some 40 years. Some people say today at 76 years old, man, how do you get up and run 5 miles every day? Well, it's kind of like at this stage of my life, no underlying conditions, no high blood pressure, no high cholesterol, no diabetes. I mean, everything is working great. And I think it because of the way the regimen that I kept myself in excellent condition.
Mm-hmm.
I can sweat those poison toxins out, the endorphins and dopamines in my body. it almost become like serotonin because like I feel good and I feel great. And I started affirmation every morning. I'm great and I like myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm great and I like myself. And I started doing things that I have an NDA. I got to use all my natural born abilities. And I said, well, I got a CPR. I got to communicate positive reinforcements. I got a GPS. I got to get people selling. I get personal sales. I got an MBA. I got to master my mind, my body, my attitude. I started using things that was short term and had affirmations that I would repeat every day, not to quit, never to give up. And I've learned about 40 or 50 affirmations. And believe it or not, I recite 20 to 30 affirmations every day. When I go to lie down at night, I put myself to sleep by affirmations.
Mm-hmm.
A good example, like for instance, if I want to reach a goal, if you want to reach a goal bad enough, to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to go your peace and time for it, to make sacrifices for it, to work long hours for it, to work weekends for it. If all your dream and scheme is about it, and life seems worthless and useless without it, you got to sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it, then lose all your terror of the opposition for it. Simply go out the goal you want with all your capacity, sagacity, faith, hope, confidence, stern pertinacity. You need the cold, poverty, famine, sickness, pain of body, brain, Omicron virus, Delta virus, COVID 19, coronavirus, any other variants. Single shot can keep you from the goal that you want. If the organ grill, you besiege, you beset it. With the help of God, you get it. In other words, give out, but don't give up. Because
Mm-hmm.
with the law of reciprocity, you will succeed. Now, I learned that affirmation from really Les Brown, but I added my own repertoire with it, things that I had to overcome myself.
Mm-hmm.
But the basic fundamentals came from him. But I add my own. It's not buying clothes from a store, but you get it tailored made to fit you. Everything I know, I've learned from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
However, I tailor it to fit me, to make me feel good about myself. And I think we have a responsibility is that we are the greatest creation on earth, better than any animal. We can think, we can reason. If we start taking good care of ourselves and getting the most out of us, a good example of this, I just had a car accident, total lost my car.
Mm-hmm.
Through divine providence, really, I think the creator above was looking because 6 inches closer could have hit me on the driver's side. It would have pushed me through the other side because it threw the whole front of it off. In fact, the car was total. And the car was an Infinity. It was a very nice, strong built car. And the airbags came out. And when I was taken out, they pulled me, set me on the curve, went through my vitals. But I said, I need to go to the emergency center to make sure everything is fine. I went there, got a CAT CT scan.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor said, Artist, everything on the inside is great. He said, the only thing you may be sore for a few days because here's some muscle relaxers. And you know something? That conditioning, I mean, 5 miles a day, 9,000 push ups a month, that's 300 push ups a day. I think it just gave me the confidence that, and that cushion, I think that's what sustained me. I got shook up, but really, you would never thought that I went through the accident by looking at that car.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in the long term, whatever you do today, like gratitude extends your life further than you could ever extend it because you appreciate every moment, every day. Gratitude is about today, about the moment, today, the moment, today, the moment, today, the moment. And because tomorrow is not promised.
Right. Right.
Yesterday is a canceled check. Tomorrow is a promissory notice. Today is the first day of your life for the rest of your life.
Okay.
This is the moment we could do something about. And that's why I think you start in this gratitude moment. I really believe I see in the future there's what 8 billion people, and I see 2 3 billion people. I see this thing taking off like a rocket because people ask me all the time, artists, what do you contribute your attitude to? I used to say, man, I read books. Now I say gratitude. What do you mean by that? You'd be surprised what people don't really understand. A lot of times people are come and express their gratitude. Like when I first came into the gratitude, I was in there, and then Angel would put me and say, Artist. She said, she put me and said, what are you grateful for? What are you grateful for? It took me probably about 30 days to learn how to do my gratitude. So sometimes a person come in for the first time, they may get off to the left, to the right, up, all sideways, and then they get expressions, and in their minds they think you're supposed to give a testimonial, you think you're supposed to give a confession, and so but they don't realize they have to be trained and taught. And sometimes they get off target, and we as moderators got to be very precarious in this because they're vulnerable. And the hardest thing to do is stand in front of a group of people and speak and be vulnerable and express yourself. And sometimes they come in, I'm in the room, they're a little off key, but I'll say, you know something, I really appreciate what you said. And then rather than scolding them, next time I take a reset, and I do a reset, and I go through the reset, and then I make everything part of the reset rather than the person.
Mm-hmm.
So if I got on, and this is what Angel did with me, um, because even though we have the code of ethics, even though we have the mission statement, it's hard to get it. It's been said that you got to read something for 13 times before you really understand it. And so that's why the way it's set up, back and forth, and because sometimes a person is very edgy, and I can tell as they share through the emotional intelligence, they're nervous, the pitch, the pace, the voice, the modulations, and sometimes they say something. And we've been doing it so long, it'd be just like if I said, God, to find my house, you didn't have a GPS. Go here, go here, go here, go there, and man, you
Mm-hmm.
can't miss it. Well, I've been 30 years coming here. You gotta miss it because everything is foreign to you. And so, what I've come to appreciate through the gratitude movement, when I do, there's no way you can make a mistake the first time.
All right.
See,
So,
because when you come and you share it, I'm gonna find something good about it, but I'm gonna correct that mistake not by you because you got too many people listening. Because if you criticize some, first of all, if you flatter someone, they won't believe you. If you criticize them, they won't like you. I don't care who it is. If you ignore them, they won't respect you. If you encourage them, they'll never forget you. And I think probably my reputation on Clubhouse, oh, he's always encouraging, he's always encouraging. But I practice the 5 F. I'm fair, I'm firm, I'm fun, and then I'm fair, and frank. And
okay.
I think that there's a time for that. But I think that that would enable everyone to grow because I could have been kicked out from my beginning,
All
and
right.
I've spoken all over the world because I was way off base. However, I understand it now.
All right. Well, you and well, and thank you for that. You generated another question for me, and then you talked about that experience of being in the room and what it's like for someone to share their gratitude. What is a fun memory? Um, yeah, a fun memory that you've had as a volunteer that someone came in and they either were a regular in your time slot or they shared something that it just made you sit back and say, "Wow." Um, do you have one of those?
Yeah, yeah. I think of people that, for instance, you know, as I listen, really, all of the gratitude warriors and primarily the moderators, I never thought, honestly and truthfully, that I impacted their life the way my life has been impacted. And I
Mm-hmm.
listened to some of them say, I was at a meeting the other day, and they were starting their own room. I think it was Hutch, and Matt. They said, "Mr. Webb is my mentor." I'm trying to figure. He been mentoring me for the last 6 months now. Well, like, people observing you, and you'll become an example as a mentor to these people without we have an agreement. And the thing that shocked me and surprised me and make me feel good when someone can say I've inspired them,
Mm-hmm.
I'm mentoring them, or they learned something from me, and this is what they're carrying on because it's part of my life. Yeah, if I like a certain dish, like if I'm working out and say we're going to start working out for some time, and let's assume we start out with a mile and we start running 5 miles, you start running the same pace and the same distance. See, I know what it took for you to do that. I know what it took for me to do it. And just for you to want to do it and be part of it, it's just encouraging to me. It's like fascinating. It's like it's not a moment that I go in that gratitude room, honestly, that I'm not inspired by someone saying something through someone else inspiring them. Maybe they were inspired by something I've done,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm inspired by something they've done. It's a learning curve all the way around.
All right.
It's,
And so,
it's
do you have a moment where someone that you remember uh, that someone said something you're like, wow?
well, I think it was say for instance, I think of Donna, I think of Cabs, I think of Wendy. But I'm going to particularly talk about Cabs because she's the one that relieves me in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I said something about, I was talking about how to control your own thoughts. And and it was part of the gratitude movement. And so when I was speaking, she said, could you go over that again? I want to take some notes on it. Well, I did. However, but recently she told me, she said, you know something? 3 months ago, when you did such and such and such, here's something I live by that you said. Because I talked about the only thing we have control of is our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't control them, they'll be controlled by the environment, about the different things that go through our mind. But we have to make sure we focus and control them. I said, and the reason that's important, I can break into your home and steal all your merchandise. I could be incarcerated and go to jail. I can break into your mind, criticize you, condemn you, complain, assassinate your character. And if you allow that to happen because you have control of that, no one can make you feel bad without your permission. You're permitting yourself to feel bad and succumb to the pressure of that. Well, then there's no law for that. You become a victim to yourself because you allow yourself to do it. And I think when she said that, that helped her work through some things that she really sincerely, and I wasn't doing it at a teaching moment because
Mm-hmm.
I'm just doing it myself. It's kind of like, for instance, a thing that you said one time when you were first started your gratitude movement. You said you were at a point that you was almost homeless. Your electricity was off. Everything was at a point that you was bewildered, and then you got a um, um, call from I think a friend named Tony, and you said you started writing things down. So what got me there is that now how can a person be totally out of it emotionally, financially, and just gonna write something down on paper and repeat it? How can that make a difference? Well, I took the story of the person that told it and I fast forward to the person today and I said, there's something behind this movement. And to understand that, you have to meet them where the hurt is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to progress to where they are. And when you meet people where the concerns, where the hurt really is, you can put those people on your back or you can move those people forward to the extent as to sustain themselves. And now you've taken this oneness of you and look at the movement today. So what inspires me, I'm part of it and I volunteer my time. I would never put my time into something as busy as I am, as how I can be, paid for what I do if the cause wasn't as great as I see it.
Mm-hmm.
See, people do things because, see, when you do things You say, well, why do you do it? Because when you become the cause of why you're doing something, then everything else will follow. But if you got to do everything for money first, then you're never ever going to get. I did a lot of things I didn't make money in the process of doing it. But now people think, artists, I'll pay you $10,000 and fly you over first class so you do such and such and such. Am I worried of that? Now with gratitude, I'm gonna just
Mm-hmm.
see. So it's amazing that
Okay.
through the process, because I think what that does for me is feel that as a person, my mission statement is to help people receive the same benefits from their life that I received from mine. And my greatest fulfillment, there's a principle said there's more happiness in giving than there's receiving. Garfield, you can give something and expect no compensation and can see the growth of that. And you could weigh the value of that growth, and you could also add the monetary value to it because you know how good they are. But then it pays you great dividends. And believe me, it's impossible for you to do good and not reciprocate all the way around. It's going to come back. I might not get paid by volunteering my time for the gratitude movement, but you see, artists wouldn't be known in the clubhouse as the person he is today. Would never met Garth, would never met the moderators. I would never know these people
Mm-hmm.
and have the reputation I have amongst these people had I not put my time in there. To
All
me,
right.
you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't. Well, and thank you for that. And as I got so many questions for you, but I know that we got to set time for this. But I got another question for you, and usually I ask this to every single person that comes on the show, and that is, what would you say to someone who's thinking about practicing gratitude for the first time? Like, really, I want to, this person wants to take it on. I want to practice gratitude. I want to have the life that you have right now, Artis. I want to have that joy, that discipline, and I want to feel those emotions that you've expressed here so beautifully. I want to feel those emotions. What would you tell that person?
First, when I start talking to a person, I said, we all have fears, uncertainty, doubts, and skepticism. What are some of the things you fear? I try to set the stage for it so I can get, like a doctor, you diagnose a person and find out what the prognosis is in treating that person before you just, hey, take this. I never tell a person right off, you need to start gratitude because it's really and truthfully, it's like going to the doctor and says, hey, just looking at you, I think you got COVID. This will help you out. Nobody's that good. So what I do is I ask questions. What are some of your fears, certain doubts? And what is your skepticism? I said, if you could accomplish whatever you wanted in life and you had the ability to do that yourself, what's holding you back? And they express themselves. I said, I found the secret to your ultimate success. And I said, that's the same secret that I have. I come now to publish it. It's like having a book. I wrote a book, Guts and Glory, American Story, but took me 20 years to write the book. And now the book publishes that gratitude is like, now when you start thinking about your life and all the things you've done, because most people don't think they're worthy. Most people suffering from a low self-image. Here's the statistic: 85% of the people you meet, they criticize, they condemn, they complain, and try to explain why they haven't succeeded. Walk around with a frown on their face. It's the best thing they can do is brighten up the room by leaving it. Then 13% of the people is part of the run wondering that they the first 85% is part of the wondering generation. They wonder what has happened. 13%, they watch things happen. They're watching people in general because they're trying to make a conscious decision to do something on the basis of other people. They're not looking introspective at themselves. And their fears, uncertainty, doubts, and skepticism is based on similar personalities. And only 2% of the people that can really make a decision, have the intestinal fortitude, they can do it. That 13%, they're kind of like a adjustable wrench. They're trying to find some nut to adjust to. With you, they're positive, but they're talking about this person. With this person, they're positive, talk about that person. They're trying to find a place to fit. Only 2% of the people, 1 to 2% of the people that's going to make it happen. They say, look, I accept failure. I accept everything. I'm going to make it happen. They're not, they've overcome that through the process, through sifting themselves through that process. So what I do when I talk to a person real briefly, I'm going a long ways to explain it, but I'll say to, let's assume I've talked with you. I said, God, let me ask you something. Have you ever heard the word attitude? You'll say, yes, I've
Yes.
heard attitude. What is
Hmm.
attitude to you, God? And I have you express it. Have you ever heard the word gratitude? What is gratitude to you? And both of those words, attitude is an emotion and gratitude is an emotion. But what makes gratitude more active and what attitude more active is when you practice it. When you practice, it's an emotion built within. Everybody got gratitude is inside. And you can kind of rehearse it inside, talk about things inside, talk to yourself. But when you stretch yourself out of your comfort zone, in that creative zone, now you rehearse, and that gratitude is becoming alive because you're talking about it, you're expressing it, you're getting rid of things that maybe you felt uncomfortable talking about, kind of releasing some things so you can put some things in. And all of a sudden I said, well, you really want to grow as a person? What enabled me to grow as a person is gratitude. I challenge you to give me 30 days. It takes 21 days to create a habit.
Hmm.
It takes 28 days for the cells to start renewing themselves. It takes 30 days to purge yourself, go through the cycle. You give yourself 30 days. I can assure you, you will not be the same person you are today. But you got to go through 30 days. Like the first 21 days is going to be your toughest one. And then after that, 28 days, it's come a little easier because the cells renewing themselves. But in 30 days, you're purging all of this stuff out of you because you're going through that cycle. And then 90 days become a lifestyle. 6 months become a routine.
Hmm.
9 months become a transformation. If I take a woman 9 months to have a baby, and 1 year's time is like breathing in and out. You don't even think about it. You're practicing. I think it takes about a year to really, really sincerely practice gratitude to the extent
Okay.
that it become natural. You're breathing in and out, and just do it spontaneously, extemporaneously, just doing it.
Yeah. So basically, telling the person like do a 30-day, do it for 30 days, but if you really want to have the full experience of gratitude, do it for a year.
Yeah, yeah. Do it
Okay.
30 days, and doing that, and then it's just like we have people practicing and moderators. See,
Hmm.
and what I love about it, see, Donna and really Angel, honestly, they were with me probably for about 6 months.
Hmm.
I mean, because I'm not the greatest in technology, but they were so patient and so loving, and they made me feel like, no, you can get it. I mean, they never ever made me feel small.
Hmm.
See, the key thing is that everyone is walking around, and there's such a negative world out there, a negative. They want some encouragement, and there's a sign that says, "Make me feel good about myself." They want a compliment instead of argument.
Hmm.
They want a blessing instead of just texting. They want instead of stagnation, instead of frustration, they want motivation. So if I think when you make them compliment every little thing they do, we have a thing that we do in our ministry when we talk to people or when giving a talk. We always commend. Hey man, that was a beautiful talk. That was a beautiful expression you did. Listen to your gratitude. It was absolutely fantastic. It was beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be, it's fantastic to them because they did it. And because it's best to have someone, to me, that was fantastic. That was beautiful. They feel good about that. And and then you enumerate what I like about it is you did A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And now I don't get into the critiquing how they could have done better right then and there. I'm looking forward to your next year. And you know something? I want you to dig a little bit deeper in some areas that you talked about. And then if I see fit, I'll put my name in the chat. I like to talk to you afterwards. And that's how I grew because Angel would call me sometime and Donna would. And she said, Artist, you're good. You're trying to motivate people, but you're not giving your gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And and there's a big difference between trying to motivate someone. Gratitude is like EQ, emotional intelligence, showing empathy, showing concern, being able to see a person's strengths and weaknesses, make them feel they socially fit in, and it's more of that. And I think that sometime um, when we do something, it's like see to me, I know sometime I was at when they said, well, this is this person they said, well, in my room, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. You know something? You can't make a mistake in my room because I'm not going to see it as a mistake.
Right, right.
It's like I had an accident, right? And I totally lost my car. Did I stop driving? So I'm finished driving. I ain't gonna drive no more. I got hit by a car jogging. I had my jawbone broken. It's 45 stitches in 1988. The doctor said you probably never talk no more like you used to, and the exercise is gone. Within the same principle, within 90 days, actually after 30 days, I started walking. Within the 6 to 90 days, I got in my light jog. Before I
Mm-hmm.
realized it, I got back on the horse. And I think that we can attract so many people, but it's hard to get people like ourselves. You're gonna get people that really they don't know themselves. They don't know who they are. They may be trained. I always practice, drill, rehearse, practice, drill, rehearse, practice, drill, rehearse. And I'm gonna give you an example. I did the hardest thing you can possibly do. I sold Kirby vacuums from door to door, very expensive vacuum. And I used to knock on doors, and people say, "I'm not interested." And I have people used to call me, use the N word at the door. And I had to learn to overcome so many things. And I felt bad about it. And I felt emotional about it. And I felt like, well, I said, it's something about me when a person says something negative that I respond, I haven't developed within myself.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't be able to say anything to me to control my emotions, to make me want to fight you. See, something about me I haven't developed. So the person used the N word. I said, fantastic. And I smiled.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, that didn't, I said, give me a few minutes, sir. Let me take a few minutes. I've got something to show you. I got in. I said, I'm going to put a performance he never seen before. Within 45 minutes, he wrote me a check, gave me referrals. And I really believe that people don't say what they mean. They don't mean what they say. They just say things. And and when just like looking at the debate, sometimes people think they said, but when people examine and tear it apart, did I say that? Did I say that? Did I do this? And I think that what happens is that if we not too sensitive and say, well, how much time do you give a person to make that transformation?
Mm-hmm.
At least 2 or 3 times. Strike three, you out. 4 balls, you walk. If they say, well, the first strike, you can't swing no more, it wouldn't be no baseball. And so, and I'm just saying that I think that because it does so much for people, and people are so afraid, and they are afraid to share the vulnerability. I've taken people that was homeless, and had no transportation, became very successful entrepreneurs, got their home, have families, have kids, have people giving up on themselves, was in drugs. I just feel like it's impossible for you to be around me on a regular basis and not succumb to my pressure.
Hmm.
I'm not going to succumb to your pressure because I'm sold on who I am. By Einstein said, know thyself, your attitude is not going to affect me. And so, because you don't work out, that's not going to affect me.
Hmm.
In the rain, in the hail, in the sleet, in the snow, I look for, begin with the end in mind. I look for the afterward, the after feeling. I can plow through something because I know on the other side of it, the other side of failure is success. The
Hmm.
other side of disappointment is an appointment. So the other side of bad is good. And everything person does, it might not be the way you want them to do it, but if you search for the good in it, you have those people. And sometimes I think that um, even though we have moderate training, I think sometimes I love the way you inspire people. I love the way they give awards, and I love the way we do things. And sometimes we got to understand the value, just how good we really are. Those people are so darn good. And sometimes, but everybody that comes in is probably not going to reach that level of greatness until they're so confident, until it becomes part of their routine. And to become part of routine, I always tell them, give me 21 days. If you can't do it 21 days, like when they started, I said, look, when it's okay, I said, 21 days before you make a decision on it.
Hmm.
I said, then at the end of 20, and do the same thing for 21 days. And then in 28 days, take a look and see what changes. You'll be able to see what changes. Now for 30 days, you purge all of the negative, all of the stuff out of you. Then after that, we'll talk about it. And then
Okay.
the next night, within the next 60 days, it's gonna be a lifestyle for
Yes, indeed. It's gratitude can become a lifestyle if you put your heart and soul into it. So I got my final question, and my final question for you, artist, is what does gratitude mean to you now?
you. Gratitude to me now means that every day is part of my routine now. Like I work out every day.
Hmm.
So when I get up, I give thankfulness. I really purposely, intentionally grateful for all the things around me, my family, my wife, everything that I have. And it means that everything is important to me at the moment because we're not guaranteed anything beyond the moment.
Hmm.
So because I see the importance of it, then what it does helps me have a greater appreciation. When you appreciate something, the value goes up. When you admire something, well, then you have a different way of looking at it. When you approve something, mm, that's another word for gratitude. Well, that's fantastic. It's approval. And when you think, give attention to it. So that's what does give me a chance to give attention to myself, appreciation more for myself and my surrounding, approval of things around me, and to be able to feel validated as a person.
Hmm. Okay, I think that's beautiful. Um, and gratitude means to feel validated as a person. And as we wrap up, what is something that you would like our listeners or viewers to know? What would be one thing that you would want them to know? And also, if they wanted to connect with you, how could they do that?
To connect with me, I have a website, which is Rhinocus, RHINOCUST.com. Also, you connect to me. I don't mind giving my number out, which is 404-434-7687. But I prefer you to text me because a lot of people call me. just text me and kind of give me a little text as to who you are and what you are. Because I might not answer the phone. I got a voicemail, but you leave a message. However, when you text me, I always respond to all my texts. And but I think that to everyone listening, don't do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. See, we all want to be appreciated. We all want to be validated. We all want to be uplifted. We all want to be encouraged. And we all want to be admired. And we all want to feel that we are approved. Do me a favor. Take 21 days and just go into the gratitude room. The first 2 or 3 days to listen, just listen. You don't have to get on the stage, just listen. But when you feel comfortable, share your gratitude. Just take about 30 seconds or a minute. Things
Hmm.
you're thankful for, life itself, your family. And the more you talk about those things, the more value you give those things. The more value you give those things, the more precious they become. The more precious they become, the more you admire them, the greater outlet. And then, there's room for more. I don't think you can ever get more from anything until you appreciate what you already have. And that's what
Right.
gratitude does. Gratitude helps you see the true value of who you are and what you have. And once you do, you can expand that to the next level.
Fantastic. Thank you. And you talk about next level. Gratitude definitely takes you to the next level, and that has been the experience that I've seen with you over these past few years of you practicing gratitude and seeing you step out and do new things and having new experiences and being a mentor and a encourager to many. So, artists, thank you so
Let me say
much.
this
Yeah,
too.
go
Let me
ahead.
say this real quick. Think about this. First of all, we all have a comfort zone. And that's probably why we don't share our gratitude because we're more comfortable within our own little circle. I challenge you, stretch out that comfort zone. When you do, you'll go into your creative zone. The creative zone, they go into the room and just listen. And so you're going to awaken your creative zone. The creative part of your mind is going to be awakened because you're going to hear some things and experiences that may be similar, maybe challenging, maybe some things you're going through, how people overcome them. Now, from that creative zone, the next zone is the challenge zone. Now you're going to challenge yourself. Let me go on the stage. I'm going to challenge myself to say a few words. That's the challenge zone. Now you get feedback from that challenge zone. But when you get in that challenge zone, the next zone is the end zone. That's where you want to get. You want to get to the end zone. Once you get to the end zone, you feel comfortable because you know you can get at the bat, you can get off, you get on base, and you can get back to the plate again. And when you get in the end zone, the next one is the championship zone. You realize that everything is out there for you to be part the champion you want to be.
Hmm.
But it's also you stretch it from the comfort zone. That is just listening to others. In the creative zone, okay, you'll feel uncomfortable. Keep on listening. But challenge yourself to the next zone. Let me step on stage and understand mentally where you are because you're challenging yourself to do it. And then understand that's a process to get to the end zone, your own base. Understand the process to elevate you to the point that you don't feel complete.
Okay. Well, thank you, artists, and thank you for that. So, and what I take away from that is just get in the zone, get in the gratitude zone, do something, take an action. Don't leave the I guess the site of this video and not do something towards taking a step to practice gratitude in your life. Do something, even if it means getting out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Well, artists, thank you so much for your time, your energy, and your love. And with that,
I give my favorite saying.
yeah, go
This has
ahead.
been super. This has been supercalifragilisticexpialidocious indefatigable extraordinary unbelievably fantastic exponentially super super super.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you for joining us. So you've been listening to Stories of Gratitude with our special guest today,
That's
Artis
my
Webb,
book.
and that's his book right there.
That's
And
it, Glory. American Story. You got to be crazy.
yes, and so join us again for our next amazing episode that's coming up. Check out our site. We have lots of incredible interviews, stories of gratitudes of volunteers and members of the Daily Gratitude Movement. So thank you all for being here today, and we'll see you soon in our next episode. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.